So friends, hello. My name is Mateo. I'm here to share on something I've been really passionate about for many years. I'm sure, like many of you guys, you have experienced the reality that festivals can transform your freaking life, right? Like we're here for that because we felt that vibration. That's what brings us together. That's what we're here to do. And it's something that I've been exploring, researching, looking into, trying to better understand for a long time. Like, how is this happening? Because I've been facilitating transformational experiences long before I was ever hitting festivals. And then you go to the first festival and you're like, oh, there's something here. There's some magic in the air. There's some potential that's untapped. So that's what I want to get into. I want to be sharing some of the things that I've noticed, some of the science that's out there, and hopefully we can take these keys and codes into the rest of the night together and use them to make this like the most epic send-off into the most epic year ever. My man. So before we begin, I got a quick little intro video I made for Solar Punk. Maybe you guys saw this. This is my man Jason Silva just kind of pontificating on what makes transformational festivals so powerful. So I'm going to play this for you.
Transformational festivals.
Can we turn this up, Salman?
Well, they're very in vogue these days. People are hungry for transformation, for heightened presence, for a lived experience that returns a virginal noticing to the sensate world. Sense of first sight, unencumbered by knowingness. You're alive and engaged and entrained in a world you forgot was possible, and in a way you forgot was possible. There's a heightened aliveness. But what exactly does transformation feel like? What is the lived experience, if we had to break it down, that people are after in these transformational festivals? Well, people are basically looking to have their jadedness violated. They're looking for experiences that violate their expectations and presuppositions. They're looking to be stopped in their track, exploring a new world, and you got your buddies with you, and it's like, where are we going and what's going to happen? And I'm so in this moment, I'm so alive in this moment. People feel more connected, more in the here and now, in the thralls of play and wonder and entrainment and flow. And daily life for so many just pales in comparison. We go through the motions of the everyday, unengaged, stuck in ruminative loops. It's like we're not in we're not in the expanded presence, the heightened qualitative intensity of the lived experience, the felt reality of direct experience. We're just not in it most of the time. And so we go to these transformational festivals to blow our minds and come to our senses and return to just a kind of aliveness. We're just talking about presence. We're just talking about play. We're just talking about laughter. We're just talking about joy. We're just talking about entrainment. We're just talking about being there and loving it. Ultimately, that's what it's about, man. I try to gift myself these states of rapture and play in my ordinary life. I try to bring back some of those insights, some of those protocols and procedures, the knobs and levers approach to tweaking our own lived experience to bring more play into it. Like drawing a line in the sand and creating a theatrical space where there can be play and there can be wonder, to lose ourselves and find ourselves and expand ourselves and explore ourselves and pickle ourselves and see the spaces there are to unleash and embody.
So who's ready to do some of that today? I know I'm excited. So I think Jason Silva really nails it with that intro to keep it short and succinct. But I want to get a little bit deeper into the elements that are at play and how exactly do festivals transform. And I know all of us are we're drinking the Kool-Aid. We're sold on this, right? But maybe one of y'all has that one friend that's like, I don't know what's going on with all these festivals you're going to, man. Like, I don't really see it. Well, turns out there's a lot of really cool science to back up the fact that transformation happens at festivals. Like, they've done studies on this stuff. So really quickly, I just want to talk about one of these studies. How they did it is they looked at the 4 factors that make up any music festival experience, right? You have the musical experience, you have the festival itself, you have the social experience, us interengaging with each other, the interpersonal connections that happen, and then you have this element of separation. the fact that you were actually leaving the normal world and going into something new. So those are the 4 factors that they looked at. And just breaking them down really quick, the musical experience, obviously we all know music has the power to be emotionally moving, right? That's something that unifies it. But when you're at a festival, it's more of an active experience. We're not just sitting at home, we're engaging with the performer on stage who is engaging back with us in real time. There's that shared energy. And because we're doing it in a crowd together, it becomes something bigger than just a personal experience. It becomes a shared, unified experience. And then there is also the physical effect of bass frequency, which is something I'm very passionate about. We'll talk a little bit more about bass frequency, my man, in just a second. Then there's the festival experience, right? When we step into solar punk, we are stepping into a very special container. I mean, obviously, look at this thing. There's rainbows going down the ceiling. This is not your normal everyday life. Festivals have set times, they have set dates, they have fences around them, right? That container creates this space for transformation. There's also a special aura that goes on, right? There's people dressing in cool ways. Everybody comes and contributes their own booths. And then there's this story. Every festival tends to have its own unique story. For this one, it's how we're crossing that threshold into New Year's. So that story unifies us on a much deeper level. So that's another element of what makes these experiences so powerful. And I like to share a story of a good friend of mine. His name is Shaka, and I took him to his first ever rave experience at EDC. Anyone ever heard of EDC? It's one of my favorites. Electric Daisy Carnival. Biggest festival in the world. Like, I'm talking laser beams, fireworks, like you ain't ever seen in your life. And my friend had never really been to a festival before, so this was a new experience for him. He'd seen a lot of things in life, though. He'd been through a lot. He was an ex-war veteran, carrying a lot of trauma with him. And when I took him to this festival, I did it in a very intentional way, in a sense to use these tools and use the magic of this space to try to create healing and create change. And the way he described it was super interesting. He said there was the sounds of explosions, there was fireworks, there was all this intensity. And throughout his past experiences, traumatic experiences in war, that all meant violence. That all meant death. He had all these negative connotations with this explosive energy. But because it was in that space, and because everyone around him was in this shared frequency of celebration, it allowed him to recontextualize those sensations, to reframe the way that those stimuli triggered his body. So that now those loud explosions bring him a sense of joy and enthrallment, as opposed to like, oh my God, something bad is going to happen. So that's just a really cool example I like to share there. There's also the separation, right? We're getting away from our normal everyday, which allows us to separate from the culture around us. Right? It allows us to step outside of our mundane momentum. I got to go to work. I got to dress this way at work. I have to show up in this sense, which provides an opportunity to re-identify how you show up in these containers, in these spaces. So that's a cool element. It makes you safe to explore. And the thing I like to highlight the most about these festivals, right, it's not just the experience at the time, but you also get that sense of excitement looking forward to it. So for me, I like to plan a festival like once a year. And then the whole year, I'm kind of like amping myself up for that event. So you get that whole anticipatory excitement. And then afterwards, you have the memories. Like for me, I look back on these festival experiences years later. So they provide that value, not just on the actual experience, but in the front side and the back side, right? And this is all what the scientists were looking at when they were doing these studies. So if you want to know what this is my Rave scientist right here. Shout out to AI for making Rave scientist art really cool. Turns out, surprise, surprise, it works, right? So there was measurable improvements in people's interpersonal relationship ability, their sense of agency, their emotional management, their social coherence, their self-acceptance, their ability to actualize their autonomy, their personal growth, and their connection to purpose. So science in, festivals transform, it's proven. Now let's get into the cool part, right? So I like this example of surfing waves. Whenever we are showing up into these experiences, there's lots of ups, there's lots and downs, and knowing that is a kind of a powerful metaphor to help you find your balance among them. And very literally, we are in a setting of waves. So this is what sound is, y'all. Vibration is a wave. Our mind state is a wave, or at least that's a very useful way of looking at it. So if we talk about sound, this is a cool description of what sound actually is to help you kind of conceptualize it when you're in the mix, right?
A sound wave is produced when force or pressure from a vibrating object sets the molecules of a particular medium, such as air, into motion. Such pressure causes these molecules to move back and forth from their equilibrium position. The movement of molecules determines the frequency and amplitude of a sound. These properties lend a specific sound its unique pitch and loudness. Frequency is one of two key properties of sound. Frequency is determined by the rate of movement of molecules set into motion by a vibrating object. This movement is measured in cycles per second, commonly referred to as hertz. Frequency is what gives sound a particular pitch.
So if you didn't know, that's like what sound is. When you're in this dance experience here and these vibrations are hitting you, there's actual physical effects that are taking place. These vibrations are not just something that you're hearing in your ears. There's something that is being felt physically in your body. There is a physical effect on your fascial tissue, your muscular system of your skin, which is where a lot of the power comes from. This allows physical changes to occur. And I don't know if you're aware, but a lot of the bullshit we're holding in our life is stored inside of our physical body. So when we're in this special vibrational container here, there's a lot of opening potential and a lot of possibility that can be capitalized because of that, right? And the elements that make this music and this sound wave so powerful, the ones that I want to highlight are rhythm, resonance, and like I said, that felt bass experience. So rhythm is a really cool thing, right? Our entire life is dictated by rhythms, from the rising, setting sun, to the tides, to the seasons, to our waking day-to-day lives. This tempo, this beat dictates the state of our mind. So when we think about rhythm, what I want you to think about, this is something Jason Silva mentioned, is this word right here, entrainment. How we understand our states of brain waves is by measuring the frequency that our brain outputs. So I don't know if you guys have heard of like gamma states, beta states, alpha states, but we can measure those states of our brain by the waves that come out of us. So when we have different rhythms, we actually have the ability to shift the frequency of the waves inside our brains, not just individually, but into a collective unison. So that's what entrainment means, right? And this is why rhythm becomes so powerful and important. And this is not something new that we're just stumbling across, right? Like our ancestors knew this. This is why we gathered around the fire. This is why we played drums together, because it entrained a collective sense of unity. So just know, when you guys are on the dance floor tonight, you are connecting to something ancient, something powerful that our ancestors harnessed from the dawn of time, right? That's pretty cool. And then there is resonance. What is resonance, right? Resonance is an effect that occurs when two waves meet each other and they align in such a way that they amplify intensity. Resonance is a very important thing because it is going to dictate how you navigate your situation, right? I like this quote that a lot of people believe that language is the thing that unites culture. But really, long before spoken word, we were connected through the resonance of our vocal tones, from the stomping of feet in caves, right? Like people would gather in these resonant spaces. They would entrain sounds together, and that resonant vibration that they created is what brought them together. And this has been something that people have relied upon forever, this ability to come together in ritual senses of resonance, which is so crucial because when we lose our connection to resonance, we lose our connection to the cause and effect of our actions. So the reason that people can throw trash on the ground and not feel the effect of where that trash is going to go is because they've lost resonance with that greater part of themselves. They've lost resonance with that sense of nature. So when we step into this container, know that we are bringing each other, ourselves, into a resonance that connects us not just collectively, but to this larger world around us. This is why sound is so powerful. And then there's bass frequencies, my favorite thing, right? I'm kind of a bass head, y'all. Low-end bass frequencies are special. And unless you have these badass speakers at home, this is something you're not going to be able to get at your home listening experience. When you have powerful low-end, it has the unique ability to physically move through objects. It doesn't lose energy as it passes through things. So this allows it to get a lot more visceral into your physical flesh. Now, it becomes more of a tactile experience, right? You're hearing it. And when that vibration is moving through your body, you can think of your body almost like an instrument because it has this sound flowing through. And if you think of your body kind of like an instrument with this bass moving you, you now have the opportunity to play your body like an instrument as the sound is moving through you. And just from a personal insight, I'm very big into understanding how our body holds on to different patterns. And when you get this low-end frequency moving through you, your body and your physical holding starts to open up. A potential starts to open up. So we might have some massage tables in the back available when you guys are dancing. I highly recommend, I'm gonna bring out some foam rollers and some balls that you get into your fascia, that you start to release, because that bass frequency will open your body up to be a lot more receptive. So there's some real magic to be capitalized on that I think is barely getting tapped into. I saw this video on Instagram. It was like this giant rave in Sweden, and they had a bunch of massage tables in the back, and I was like, yeah, that's what the future's gonna be. So no, when you're in this bass frequency sensation, you have the potential to unlock a lot of what is normally trapped and stored in your day-to-day life. This is a really cool video. I don't know if you guys have seen this Cymantics video, but this is just an example of how bass frequency works. So that's water. And your body is like 80% made of water. So when you're getting hit by those bass frequencies, this is actually happening to your cells, to the DNA within you. It's being shifted and shaped by that frequency. And we know this, but it's really cool to see it, really cool to visualize, and to take that knowing with you onto the dance floor. Now, this is kind of a crucial key, right? Bass is powerful, but there also is something as too much bass. And this is a concept I think is crucial to understand. I call this time under bass. A lot of people, when they're on substances, can go really deep and sometimes override certain intuitive limitations, right? This can actually be a bad thing. You can fry your system. I think of it almost like cooking. It's like you want to warm your body up, but you don't want to overcook it and keep yourself burnt, because that'll deplete your nervous system, and that can actually cause more damage than good. So knowing how to kind of weave your way in and out of these bass frequencies becomes an actual art. Like, you don't want to be right in front of that speaker for 3 hours straight, but you might want to come up to it for a little bit, cover your ears, take a little bit of that bass, step away. And in this, there becomes a skill of being able to navigate in and out of these different ranges of energetic sensitivity. So there's something unique about being up at the front of the stage. You're right in the speakers. You're getting all that energy. You have that group crowd around you. That resonance is happening. And there's also something unique about stepping away and being behind. You get to still touch on that energy. You get a little bit larger perspective. So this is kind of the elements you can begin to play with tonight in your experience, right? Don't fry your system. Also, earplugs aren't such a bad idea if you're going to be right up on the front. Now let's get into the really fascinating stuff, guys. This is all kind of the science. I want to get into the metaphysics, right? Something that I am just mind blown about at festivals is how they tend to make these esoteric woo concepts into a very tangible physical reality. For example, I'm sure we've all heard of holding space, right? Like, it's kind of like, who knows what that really means? Well, when you're at a festival and there's crowds of people bumping into you, holding space is some real shit. It's like, whoa, I'm here. This is my space. This is why we put blankets down, right? And it's unique because no one owns any space here, but still you need to own your space. So it's kind of a balancing act of learning how to create boundaries, but also how to be permeable, how to be flexible in those boundaries. And these are metaphysical skills that carry over into different realms of experience, but you get to practice them physically within festivals. I find that fascinating. And I've also noticed this interesting dynamic. I like to go and rave with my beautiful lady over here. And sometimes, when the crowd gets too crazy, I notice myself just doing this. I kind of put my arms around her and I give her a little bit of space so that no one bumps into her. And what is happening there? It's a man, a masculine, creating a container for a girl, a feminine, to have room to flow. So there's this masculine and feminine dynamic that begins to emerge. And we can play around with this to really powerful effect. The most powerful experiences that I've ever had on the dance floor, they have these same dynamics. And I call them portal dynamics, but essentially what they are is this re-emergent pattern that people are intuitively doing, but if we pay attention and we consciously choose to use these, I think we can take it even deeper at this one tonight. So what that is, it's like usually you'll have some guys or just some masculine energy kind of making a line that creates a little opening, right? Having some space, and then usually one or more feminine energies start to merge and like react off each other in that space. And there is this almost like spiraling of attention inwards. It's like the attention is going towards the center, but it's also inviting in. So it's like this spiral in and this invitation outwards where it starts to grow and bounce energy, and everyone collectively is sending that energy to this center point. And there's this unique kind of like gathering together as the beat builds and like spacing out and separating as the beat drops. There's also this like getting low to the ground as the beat builds, and then like kind of getting high and big when the beat drops. Like kind of like we draw the energy in and then we pull the energy out. And I've seen this like over and over and over again. So, now that you know about it, maybe we can consciously start to sprinkle it in throughout, because that's where the real magic is. And you can really turn this into an art. When you take all these elements together, you can start to create your experience almost like a painting, right? Where your choices are the brush and kind of the hands of fate become the hand that is moving and painting that picture. But with all forms of art, it's very important that you prime the canvas. So before you even go into a festival, it's super crucial the mindset you're bringing in, and really important, the intention that you're bringing in. Intention is the key to festivals, but also to New Year's, right? So we have like a double whammy going on for this one. We have the intention of what do you want to get out of this festival? And we also have the intention of what are you trying to bring into the new year? How can you prepare yourself for that? Intention is a guiding force, right? It helps us to stay on a path, to navigate us as these waves start to push us around. It also drives our results. So it's like you usually don't get something if you don't like hold an intention to start to push towards it. How do we anchor those intentions in? You guys ever seen this at a festival? These weird bracelets people wear? Anyone ever seen those? You know what I'm talking about? She knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, what's going on with that? Anyone have any idea? Like why is that a thing? Check this out. Do you know Taylor Swift is doing this now? She's got her own bracelets. Is Taylor Swift a wizard? I don't know. Maybe. Here's my thought on this, right? When you're in these liminal spaces, there's something that's always in front of your field of vision. It's your hands, right? Usually people are dancing. Like, what do you see? You don't see your shirt. You don't see your feet very often, but you see your hands. So by having the ability to take an intention or a reminder or something of meaning and put it on your wrist or your hand or your finger, you are now anchoring an intention into your visual field, so that as you go through your experience, you're constantly being reminded. And this is why I don't think people are thinking this, but I think this is the mechanics behind why this has become such a reoccurring thing. You'll see like, drink water. It's like, oh yeah, it's on my wrist, right? And on that note, I think we're going to be handing out like rainbow wristbands at this event that will be anchoring in specific intentions. As well as that, I will be offering henna sigil tattoos. So at any point in time, if you guys have an intention that you want to anchor in, come talk to me. And we're going to make a cool sigil and we're going to put it on your hand. That way, as you're going through your experience, you have that in your visual field as a consistent reminder through the whole night to anchor that in a little deeper. That's where the real magic is. Taylor Swift might be a wizard. So yeah, that's some of the fun stuff of it. And I think it's really also important to recognize for my OGs in the game that some of the hardest parts of festivals end up being some of the most rewarding. Like when I think back, I have these memories of like one time at a lightning in a bottle, like 6 years ago, I waited for like 6 hours to take a shower. And we were just in line. It was like it was a whole lifetime worth of experience with these people in line waiting to take a shower. We built a whole culture of like, woo, quick showers, because you could go in and stay there as long as you want, right? Once you're in, but then everybody's waiting for you. So we started clapping every time someone came out. Yeah, quick shower, to try to get us to move quick. And it was miserable. It was hot. It was horrible. However, it's one of my fondest memories. Like, those are the spaces where we really get to practice, where we really get to work on our equanimity. The challenging areas are sometimes the most rewarding. It doesn't always need to be pleasure. It's not always this ecstatic state of joy. Sometimes, like, shit gets really hard, and that's where the real gems are. Like, we were at a electric forest, and we were running to the bathroom right as they shut the bathrooms down for cleaning. And then there was like 500 people behind us, all high out of their minds, all needing to pee really badly. And it's like, and that energy is where you really get to practice. Like, all the tools, all the teachings, they come into play in those rough parts. So the real gems are in the hard parts. They're in the dirt. And I like this key right here. There's no such thing as a bad trip. There's only challenging ones. And those are the ones that lead to the most growth. And as we go through this, I can tell my OG here's got some Rave XP. As you go through some festivals and you keep having these experiences, you tend to develop a skill. Like, you get better at this stuff. You start to learn lessons. You start to be able to apply those lessons and refine those lessons, and over time, just continue improving on that. So I like that thought that, we start to learn how to pack healthy meals. We stop drinking so much because we know that doesn't help us at the end. We start to learn how to hydrate. We start to learn how to take the right things to boost our immune system. We start to dial the knobs so that we can really maximize this. And that's what I'm here to do, is kind of share some of the knobs that I've learned that I think can really change things. Everything's here for a reason. The necessity, desire, comfort, and the superfluous all become obsolete. So as you head into these spaces, things start to fall away. Like, I notice a lot of times girls want to dress really fancy with a lot of chains and a lot of feathers, and then after their first night, they're like, fuck all that shit, I'm getting comfy, right? Like, you learn what's really important as you go through these. And then you start to develop these rave hacks, which are these little tips and tools that like really amplify your experience. So these are just a few examples, right? And you can think about it in terms of your senses. Like, how do you see things? I'm sure you guys might have seen those like kaleidoscopic glasses that people wear, or the ones that turn everything into hearts. Those can be a really cool way of isolating your experience. Maybe you've seen people with pashminas over their heads. There's this cool advanced rave trick where you get a bucket hat, some glasses, and a pashmina, and you just lock in your visual field so that nothing can get in your energy. And that's really powerful, because when you're in these sensitive states, seeing someone over here doing something can throw you the fuck off. So just being able to lock in becomes like a powerful technique to get the most out of your experience. And then there's smells, right? Like, I don't know if you guys have done those boom boom sticks. I got a few of those if you want to try them. They're like peppermint that you sniff and it clears your nasal passages, or essential oils. I like to bring peppermint and vanilla and just spray the hell out of the place, because the scent really adds to the experience. No one wants to be tripping balls in a room full of BO. That's no fun. And then there's also like the Tiger Balm, the Vicks Vapor Rub, the stuff you can put on your skin to get that almost relief of tension and buildup. One of my favorites, and this is underrated, is ice cubes, y'all. If you're ever in the thick of it and it's hot, get a cup of ice and just start putting that on your forehead and the back of the neck, your core. You can target different spots, and that will do wonders to lower your body temperature and shift your energy. And then there's taste, right? We got gum, but I put this one big. Also, we got baby wipes and fans. I got a fan with me today, so I'll fan you guys down as we're on the dance floor tonight. But this one is underrated, y'all. Cough drops. Now, this is not just something you need to take when you're raving. I suck on cough drops all the time. Turns out they work even if you're not sick. They're great. They open up your nasal passages. I got another bag of those. So all this stuff, guys, you can come find me. I have some of this. I'm here to support and hand this out and help make you guys' experience better. But cough drops are huge. And then for hearing, I highly recommend earplugs. Like, this needs to be said, so I'm taking the time to say it. Not enough people are wearing ear protection. If you're worried, like, oh, I'm not going to be able to hear, they make really good high-fidelity ones that allow you to hear but also protect your ears from the bass. Now, a lot of people think, like, oh, I don't care about not hearing. But there's another element to this. It's actually energetically protective. It creates almost like somewhat of an energetic force field that dampens the impact of other people's energy on you, because you're not hearing all the chitter chatter of like what this person's going through and what this person's feeling. You're kind of more in your own zone. So I can't emphasize enough how important earplugs are. Right? And then we have integration. So as we go through these powerful experiences, we've primed ourselves on the front end. We blasted off. We're headed into the New Year's. You guys wake up the next day. You go back into your life. How do you take that and you make it stick? How do you make it last? I think this is probably the biggest missing piece. First things first, when clarity comes through, say it out loud. Say it to somebody you care about. Say it to somebody who you know is going to see you the next day and ask you, hey, remember that thing you said when you were tripping balls? You actually doing that or what? I've had some of the biggest breakthroughs of my life. I've quit smoking. I've changed addictions, all because when I was in those states, it came through. I said it, and then people held me accountable to it. So we're all here together to hold each other accountable. I recommend when you get a clarity, when you get an intention for your New Year's, start just saying it to everyone around you. The more people you say it to, the stupider you will feel if you don't actually do it. Leverage that external tribe accountability to keep you on your path once that clarity comes through. And then write it down, right? Clarity is like a very slippery fish. It comes through in these peak states, and then you wake up the next day, you're like, yeah, what was I gonna do again? Write it down somewhere you can see it the next day. Super simple, hold yourself accountable, and then go forth and change the world. Also, it's very important to care for your body, right? We're pushing our body. We have an advantage here of being on the ground, which is not always the case in festivals. So I love seeing people barefoot because there's actually like really important things that happen when you put your feet on the ground. And I was noticing this last Solar Punk. This energy on this concrete is very different than if you step off the concrete onto the grass. So play with that. Go on the grass, feel yourself ground, come on the concrete, feel that energy build. But at the end of the day, getting some sun, making sure you're well rested, getting that water, all of that is going to enable you to take this clarity and transformation that comes through and then go forward in the next day and live it. Get good nutrition, right? Eat something that's good. Sometimes at the end of a rave, I'm like, I just want pizza and donuts. That is like the crucial point. Feed yourself the healthy food, get a good smoothie in you, take care of you, because that might be the very difference between you waking up the next day feeling like shit and you waking up the next day feeling reborn. Yup. And then supplementation. I love that. Shout out to AI for all these cool images, right? Woo! Some important supplements, guys. 5-HTP. I'm sure you guys are familiar. Those who know, you know. You got to replenish your serotonin, especially if you're doing certain things that is going to deplete it. Make sure you get your 5-HTP in. For sleep, I want to recommend not taking melatonin. Melatonin is a powerful hormone. You can get just as good effects with magnesium, L-theanine, and glycine. And as well, I have a lot of this stuff, so if you want a little supplement stack, come talk to me afterwards. Chelated minerals and vitamins. Chelated is a word that just means in the right ratios. So if you're going to be taking minerals, you want to make sure they're balanced in the right way that your body needs. So getting your vitamins and minerals back into your system is key. And then electrolytes on the dance floor, you know you're going to be sweating through. Just water isn't enough. Get those electrolytes in the mix. And those are essentially the keys of how you make your festival the most transformative it can be. If you guys have any questions, you know where to find me. I'll be on the dance floor, tearing it up, opening the portal with you guys. I got all sorts of these little fun goodies available. I'm here to support in any way that I can. And I'm so stoked to go into 2024 with y'all tonight. Thank you so much. My name is Mateo Flows. By the way, if you guys want to talk to me later, I'll have a little setup with a bunch of my books over there with a lot more good keys and maps to help you transform and live your best potential. Love you guys.
Woohoo! Oh my gosh, you guys, that was so good. Oh, let's hear another cheer for Mateo. Yes. Oh man. That ritualizing something and putting it on your hand so that you remember now and you take it into your future. Oh, man, that was a huge, awesome takeaway. And writing it down into your journal so that you can come back to it and you can track it over